My people, thank you guys for tapping back in. 100 Years of Wealth. Go ahead, like and subscribe. Let's get back into the algorithm so we can get some views up and grow this channel. So look, if you're tapping in, you see the title, you see the thumbnail. Who's better? Who's the best point guard out of Magic and Steph Curry, right? So like this has been a topic that's been rolling around the NBA the last maybe year or so. I think since Steph Curry made a comment, or he was asked the question if he was a better point guard, and he made some sort of comment that suggested that he thought he was a better point guard or the best of all time, better than Magic, something like that, right? So I'm gonna dive into that topic. You guys let me know what you think in the comments, and like, subscribe, let's go. So I personally am going to break it down this way. When you look at Steph Curry, he was definitely the person running the point position for Golden State, right? So as a point guard for Golden State, they were clearly effective, or he was clearly effective. They clearly had success. He was the leading driver in 4 championship rings, even though 2 of those rings came with Kevin Durant, who was, in certain ways, people thought was maybe the better player at that time. I still felt like Steph Curry was the leader on the court, the leader in the locker room, the leader on the team. And I still felt like he was a more clutch, reliable player than Kevin Durant. And he not only reliable on the court, but like more in the mentality, right? I feel like Kevin Durant's a little bit more up and down emotionally, mentally, while Steph Curry is very, very straightforward and, stoic, and just, operates with like a business, approach to everything. Doesn't really get too emotional, doesn't really comment back, about a lot of things. So I respect that about him. He obviously has the best shot that we've seen in NBA history. Not only that, but he knows how to move off the ball. He knows how to dribble great. He has a great handle. He's probably, second best handle in the league compared to Kyrie Irving. But I feel like he knows how to be more effective with that than Kyrie Irving, because of the fact that he has a better shot than Kyrie Irving. His shot's way more consistent. So, when you think of those attributes with Steph Curry, people could lean towards the idea that he might be the better basketball player, or just in this topic, the better point guard compared to Magic Johnson. I'll challenge that by saying that Magic Johnson obviously, was effective in his era. He was effective in the sense that they obviously won, but they won championships. So he was the leading driver in 5 championships. Whether, I don't think he was ever the top scorer on the team, but he averaged maybe 19, 20 points for his career. I'd have to pull the specs, but 9, 10 assists per game, something like that. He was pretty ridiculous. And for a long time, he was, in the top ranks of the assist leaders. And really, like I said, I didn't do all the numbers research on this conversation prior to diving in here, so forgive me on that. I'll pop it up in the screen, just so that we can have the actual stats, my people. Like and subscribe on that one. But, so, Magic Johnson had, he would score a good amount of points, 19, 20 points per game, strong with the assists, grabbing rebounds, and really a solid floor general. When you think of the true definition of a point guard, that is where I would say Magic Johnson edges out Steph Curry. And the reason is because Steph Curry, even though he's their point guard, even though he initiates the offense most of the time, he doesn't initiate the offense with the concept of someone else finishing most of the time. Of course, he gets assists as well, and he plays that role to a certain degree. But usually what you see Steph Curry do is bring the ball down, pass it, and then off ball movement, go around, come off of a screen, pop a jump shot, right? Or pass it, dance around back and forth off of a screen, take a couple steps back, pull up a 3-pointer, right? So with that in mind, that makes it to where even though he clearly is playing the point guard position. He's not playing it from a traditional standpoint like maybe a Chris Paul, a Jason Kidd, a Magic Johnson, Rajon Rondo, where the primary focus is to get the other teammates involved, right? So when you look at it from that standpoint, to me, it's very clear that Magic Johnson would be the best point guard, not only in the sense that he had the most success in the form of won championships. He won as a rookie while, the superstar on their team was out. He won a championship, led the team to championship. But if you look at the style of play and how he affected the game, you'd have to really think that he really pushed the whole fast break movement on his team and made it to where the Lakers were really hard to stop. You got a 6'9" point guard pushing down the court, dishing off no-look passes back and forth. It makes it really hard to stop. Byron Scott, James Worthy, AC Green, Kurt Rambis, they were just getting inline dunks. All they had to do was run the court. So it's really about, like, when you look at a comparison of two players and the specific question of who was better at a particular role, you first have to identify what that role was, and make sure we're being clear about that. So if we're looking at a point guard in the sense of we're looking at a person who will lead the offense with the primary goal of getting other players involved, or being the primary operation for them being distributing the ball, moving the ball around, making sure the ball is moving, swinging. Of course, you're going to have point guard scoring, but the true definition and the true role of a point guard is going to be like the people I described, the Chris Paul, the freaking Rajon Rondos, the Magic Johnsons, the Jason Kidds, the Jason Williams. Who else can I say? But you get my point. These are people where their primary goal was to make the pass. It wasn't a step back pull up 3-pointer. You weren't gonna see them going real one-on-one, breaking someone down and stepping back and taking a shot or things like that. And not to say that there's anything wrong with that or that Steph Curry, shouldn't have done that. It was clearly effective, and he's clearly a sick player, in a good way, obviously a dope player. But he becomes more of like a hybrid of like a point guard and a 3, or a point guard and a 2, because he's playing off ball a lot. He's passing and running off the ball and coming back for the shot, as opposed to passing, looking for someone to take the shot. So that's the reason why, and he's a smart player, so that's the reason why when he said, or he implied that he was, the best point guard, I'm like, you would have to redefine the definition of a point guard for me to really put him in that spot. You have to give it to Magic, and this isn't like me trying to, support the old school versus the new. No, like, there's no point in that. Like, I watched Steph Curry from 2013 or 14, whenever he came in. I feel like I've spent a lot of time watching him, and he's one of my favorite players. There's no hate or salt or any reason to try to big up Magic over him. I'm just doing a true analysis of the game. I was watching in the mid to late 80s. I was watching Magic Johnson and the Lakers, and the whole thing was that the Lakers were fast as hell, running up and down the court, and they were scoring a shit ton of points. Back then the averages, and once again, I'll post up the stats. I'll pull it up just so we could see. But I think the averages were in the high 110s, like 119, 120. I remember seeing scores 125, 130. And that was pretty often because they were running up and down the court, and that's without people shooting tons of 3-pointers. That's just them basically taking that 24-second clock. Imagine you get the ball on one end of the court, 24-second clock starts, and you just push to the other side. If a lot of your points are coming on a fast break, because that's what Magic was famous for, and that's when the Lakers were known for, the whole Showtime era. If a lot of your points are coming on a fast break, you're going to see that you're able to rack up more points because you're taking that 24-second clock, and within 6-7 seconds you're down the court scoring a basket and the other team's got the ball. right? And that was really their whole style of play. So go back and look. I'm going to be playing some highlights while I'm speaking on it, just so you guys can see from both sides of the coin. You know, you'll see what I'm talking about with Steph Curry and how he is really an off-ball player a lot of times, right? He can create his own shot, but that's not really the true definition of a point guard. You know, not to say it doesn't fall within, you know, the job title of a point guard, but it's not what we're really looking for when we're talking about a point guard. We're looking for someone that their main focus is other players scoring compared to them scoring, getting the whole team involved, getting the offense to move, and not just kind of like setting up their own shot, you know? Now, if you were to ask me who's a better shooter, of course, I'm going to say Steph Curry had a way better shot than Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was known for hitting dope shots. He had a crazy sky hook. He'll get in the lane, and in his early days, he'd dunk on you. He'd even make three-pointers. You know, Magic Johnson was known, like they called him Magic because he'd be shooting shit from half court with 3 seconds left, and he nailed a lot of those shots. But by no means was he a Steph Curry, right? Steph Curry is truly probably the best shooter in NBA history, and he has a beautiful jump shot. Magic Johnson, you could tell that was an era of basketball where, you know, players were starting to develop more of those beautiful structural shots. And let me take that back. There was players out there that had beautiful structural shots in the 80s and 70s and even the 60s. Jerry West. Let me take that back. But I guess what I mean is that it wasn't like everyone on the court was trying to have a 3-point shot, right? It was more so like you had what you did. You had your set of skills that you had that were effective, and if you were effective, then that could get you to the next level. Whether it was, you know, him with the sky hook, you know, you're able to rebound and put the shot back, and, you know, have a little mid-range game or a turnaround fadeaway or whatever the case was, right? So that's why you can't really compare eras too much on, like, you know, style and like what particular shot they were focused on, just because that all changes, you know. But that's all I wanted to drop in on you guys. Like and subscribe. Tell me what you guys think. I'm gonna have to give the point guard title at this particular moment to Magic Johnson, Irving Magic Johnson, a legend. Steph Curry, if you want to put him into that point guard category, it's tough for me to really put him way up there for all the reasons I said before. I would have to put other point guards ahead of him just because he is like a shoot first guard and not a pass first guard, right? But you know, it can go either way. I could be convinced that he can fall into the point guard category. But anyways, look, 100 years of wealth. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. Share the video with someone you know that likes basketball, and let's go up. Peace, you guys. Take it easy. Have a great day.